The council chamber was huge. Hundreds of alien beings sat in rows that went up and up like a giant stadium. Their bodies came in all shapes and colors. Some had scales, others had fur, and some seemed to be made of light itself. They all looked down at one human woman standing alone on the floor below. Ambassador Ji-Wan Lee stood straight and calm. Her black suit was simple and clean. Her hair was pulled back neatly. She looked like she belonged at a business meeting, not at the most important gathering in the galaxy. Above her, the aliens whispered to each other in languages that sounded like music, thunder, and wind. Supreme Commander Vrathnor rose from his seat. He was tall, covered in hard shell-like armor that clicked when he moved. His species, the Calthians, had ruled the Galactic Council for thousands of years. His four eyes glowed with confidence as he looked down at Ji-Wan. Human. His voice boomed through the chamber. We have brought you here to deliver important news. Your species has lived under our protection for 3,000 years. The Treaty of Forced Peace has kept you safe. We civilized you when you were violent and dangerous. We gave you a place in our galaxy. Ji-Wan nodded slowly. She had heard speeches like this many times before. The aliens like to remind humans of their place. They like to talk about how lucky humans were to be allowed to exist. However, Vrathnor continued, we have discovered something in your territory. A rare resource called temporal crystalline matter. It exists on your worlds and nowhere else in this region of space. The Council needs this resource. It is vital for the next step in galactic progress. The chamber went silent. Every alien eye turned to watch the human woman. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. The Galactic Council has voted, Vrathnor announced. 847 species voted yes. Only 3 voted no. Your worlds will be taken for the greater good. You have 48 hours to leave your colonies and move to the reservation worlds we have prepared. If you refuse, we will remove you by force. This decision is final. The aliens expected tears. They expected begging. They expected anger or fear. What they got was something completely different. Ji-Wan Lee started to laugh. It was not a nervous laugh or a crazy laugh. It was pure, genuine joy. She threw her head back and laughed like someone had just told her the best joke in the universe. The sound echoed through the huge chamber. It bounced off the walls and came back even louder. The aliens froze. This was not the reaction they expected. Confusion spread through the crowd like ripples in water. Some aliens leaned forward, trying to understand what was happening. Others checked their translation devices, thinking they must have made a mistake. Silence, Vrathnor shouted. Human, have you lost your mind? We have just declared that we will take your worlds. We are offering you mercy by giving you time to evacuate. You should be grateful. Ji-Wan wiped her eyes. She was still smiling when she looked up at him. Oh, thank you, she said, and her voice was sweet as honey. Thank you so much for this. Thank us? Vratnor's voice showed his confusion. Explain yourself. You just broke the treaty, Ji-Wan said simply. The Treaty of Forced Peace. For 3,000 years we have followed every rule. We stayed peaceful because we promised we would. We kept our weapons locked away. We kept our fleet small. We played nice. Her smile grew wider. But you just ended that treaty. You declared war on us, which means we are finally free to respond. Somewhere in the upper rows, a reptilian counselor named Thexon stood up. Supreme Commander, wait. I must speak. His voice was urgent. We need to reconsider this decision. Humans are not what they seem. I have studied their history. Before we forced peace on them, they nearly destroyed 3 of our civilizations. They are dangerous when cornered. Other council members laughed at him. That was 3,000 years ago, one said. They have been peaceful for generations. They are weak now, civilized. No, Thexon insisted. You do not understand. Humans are persistence hunters. They do not give up. They do not forget. They plan for centuries. This treaty has given them 3,000 years to prepare. Enough, Vrathnor commanded. You are a human sympathizer, Thexon. Your words hold no weight here. He turned back to Ji-Wan. Human, your words are meaningless. You have no military. Your ships are cargo vessels and tourist transports. Your weapons are 3,000 years old. You will evacuate or you will die. Those are your only choices. Ji-Wan's smile never faded. You really believe that, don't you? You actually think we have been sitting quietly for 3,000 years doing nothing? She shook her head slowly. Let me tell you something. My people have a saying from ancient times. The best warrior is the one who never has to fight. For 3,000 years we have been the best warriors, and you never even knew it. She turned to leave but stopped at the door. Oh, one more thing. You gave us 48 hours. We appreciate that. It gives us time to wake up everything we have kept sleeping. See you soon. As she walked out, an ancient being made of pure energy watched from the highest seats. Oracle Zimtha had lived for millions of years. She had seen civilizations rise and fall. She had witnessed the first contact between humans and the galaxy 3,000 years ago. She remembered what humans could do when they were angry. Fools, she whispered to herself. They have forgotten what fear feels like. They are about to remember. On Earth, billions of light years away, Admiral Dae-Hyun Kim sat in his office. He was watching the council meeting on a screen. His face was calm, but his eyes were bright with something that looked like relief. Around him, his officers were actually cheering. Some were crying happy tears. Others were shaking hands and hugging. Sir, one young officer asked, why is everyone so happy? They just declared war on us. Dae-Hyun smiled. It was the smile of a man who had waited his entire life for this moment. His father had waited. His grandfather had waited. His family had been waiting for 3,000 years. Because, he said quietly, we have been ready for this since the day they made us sign that treaty. We just needed them to break it first. He pressed a button on his desk. His voice went out to every human military base, every hidden facility, every secret research station across human space. This is Admiral Kim. Activate Protocol Sleeping Dragon. Let them wake up. Across human territory, things started to happen. Ships that looked like ordinary cargo vessels began to change. Their outer hulls slid away, revealing weapons that should not exist. Space stations that had seemed like simple mining platforms opened up like flowers, showing defense systems of incredible power. On distant moons and asteroids, military bases that had been hidden for centuries came online. Deep underground on a moon orbiting Jupiter, Dr. Taeyang Choi walked into his laboratory. The room was as big as a city. Machines hummed and glowed with power. Scientists and engineers rushed around checking systems that had not been used in generations. Finally, Choi said, clapping his hands together like an excited grandfather, finally we get to see if all of this actually works. He looked around at the weapons and technologies that surrounded him. Each one was more advanced than anything the aliens had ever imagined. 48 hours, they said. More than enough time. Let's give them a welcome they will never forget. The clock was ticking. In 48 hours, the galaxy would learn a truth that humanity had kept hidden for 3,000 years. Being peaceful and being harmless are not the same thing, and humans had never ever been harmless. Admiral Kuvek stood on the bridge of his flagship watching the stars. Behind his ship, 10,000 Calthian warships moved through space in perfect formation. They were the first fleet, the pride of the Galactic Council's military. In all their history, they had never lost a battle. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we are approaching the human colony of New Busan. Our scans show no military presence, just civilian settlements and basic defense satellites. This will be easy. Kuvex nodded. Of course it would be easy. Humans had no real military. They had been peaceful for 3,000 years. They had forgotten how to fight. This would not even be a battle. It would be a simple occupation. Move into bombardment position, he commanded. Prepare to... Every alarm on the ship started screaming at once. Sir, energy signatures all around us. The asteroids, they're not asteroids. What had looked like floating rocks suddenly came alive. Metal plates slid away, revealing weapons platforms that glowed with power. Hundreds of them. They had been sitting there the whole time, invisible, waiting. Then the mechs launched. Lieutenant Minho Song felt the familiar rush as his mech shot out of its hidden bay. Around him, his squadron, the Ghost Squadron, erupted from their hiding spots like birds taking flight. His mech was beautiful. Sleek black metal, 30 feet tall, armed with weapons that made Calthian technology look like children's toys. Ghost leader to all units, Minho said into his comm. His voice was calm, almost bored. Let's show them what 3,000 years of practice looks like. Try not to have too much fun. The alien ships began firing. Their weapons were powerful but predictable. They shot where the mechs were, not where they would be. Minho's mech twisted through space, dodging fire that would have destroyed it. His computer tracked enemy movements, predicted their actions, and fed him perfect solutions. But he did not need it. He had been training for this his entire life. His father had trained for it. His grandfather had trained for it. Every human pilot had been preparing for this war since birth. Minho locked onto an enemy cruiser and fired. His weapon was a railgun that accelerated metal slugs to impossible speeds. The shot punched through the alien ship's shields like they were paper. The ship exploded in a beautiful ball of light. Ghost Leader confirmed kill, he reported. Then he did a barrel roll that was completely unnecessary but looked amazing. Man, I love this job. Around him, his squadron was carving through the alien fleet. The mechs moved like dancers, like artists painting destruction across the stars. The aliens fought like soldiers following orders. Humans fought like they were creating poetry. On Qvex's bridge, chaos had replaced order. "We have lost 200 ships," someone shouted. "Their weapons are more advanced than anything in our database." "How is this possible?" Qvex demanded. "They have been peaceful for 3,000 years. "Sir," the tactical officer said, his voice shaking, "I don't think they were peaceful. I think they were waiting." Then something appeared on their sensors. A ship, just one ship, but it was inside their formation. It had been there the whole time, floating among them like a ghost. How had they not seen it? Captain Hannah Park smiled as her ship, the Silent Dawn, dropped its camouflage. She had been drifting through the enemy fleet for hours, listening to their communications, studying their formations. Now it was time to show them what humanity had learned about stealth warfare. "Fire cascade torpedoes," she ordered. The torpedoes were not like normal weapons. They did not just explode. They created a chain reaction. When one hit a shield, it made that shield destabilize. That destabilization spread to nearby ships. Their shields began interfering with each other, creating feedback loops that grew stronger and stronger. In 15 minutes, Hannah destroyed 200 capital ships. She did not even get hit once. As enemy ships exploded around her, Hannah opened a channel to the entire alien fleet. Classical music began playing on their communication systems. Old Korean traditional music, beautiful and calm. While they were dying, humans were playing them songs. "Thank you for the exercise," Hannah said over the music. Her voice was polite, almost friendly. "We have been practicing these maneuvers in simulation for centuries. It's nice to finally try them for real. You are doing great." The aliens realized something terrifying. The humans were not scared. They were not even angry. They were having fun. They were treating this war like a game, like entertainment. That was more frightening than any war cry. "Retreat," Qvex finally ordered. "All ships retreat immediately." His fleet jumped away, leaving thousands of destroyed ships behind. He had started with 10,000 warships. He was returning with less than 4,000. One human colony had defeated the pride of the Galactic Council. As the aliens fled, Dr. Taeyang Choi appeared on every screen in every alien ship. His face was kind and grandfatherly. He looked like someone who would bake cookies for his grandchildren, not someone who designed weapons of war. "Hello," he said cheerfully. "I am Dr. Choi, head of human weapons research. I wanted to thank you for testing our systems today. Everything worked perfectly. Well, mostly perfectly. The cascade torpedoes performed a bit better than expected. We will need to adjust the power down a little." He pulled up some files on his screen. "Oh, I should probably tell you something. Everything you just saw? Those were our first-generation weapons. We developed them in the first 500 years after the treaty. We have had 2,500 more years since then." The screen changed. It showed weapons that seemed impossible. Ships that could fold space. Defensive grids that covered entire planets. Weapons that could manipulate gravity itself. "We have been very busy," Choi continued, still smiling. "You forced us to be peaceful. You made us promise not to fight. So we had nothing to do except think about how we would fight if we ever got the chance. 3,000 years is a long time to plan." He leaned closer to the camera. His smile never changed, but his eyes became very serious. "You should go home. Tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them that humans are not the species they remember. We are not weak. We are not helpless. We have been ready for this war since the day you made us sign that treaty, and we are just getting started." The transmission ended. In the council chambers, the leaders watched the footage in silence. They saw their powerful fleet destroyed by one human colony. They saw humans laughing during battle. They saw weapons that should not exist. Supreme Commander Vrathnor slammed his fist on his desk. "This is impossible! They cannot have advanced this far without us knowing." Counselor Thexan stood up. His voice was quiet, but everyone listened. "I tried to warn you. Humans do not think in years or decades. They think in centuries. For 3,000 years, every human child has been taught about this day. Every human scientist has worked toward this moment. Every human soldier has trained for this war. They used the treaty as a shield while they prepared. And we were too blind to see it. What do we do? Someone asked. Vrathnor's pride would not let him back down. We send more ships. We have 15 fleets. We will crush them with numbers. No, Thexan said. You do not understand. This is not a war we can win with ships and weapons. This is a war of ideas, and humans have been thinking about it longer than we have been alive. But the Council voted anyway. 15 fleets would be sent to Earth itself. They would strike at the human homeworld and end this quickly. On Earth, Admiral Dae-hyun Kim received the news. His officers looked worried. Earth was not heavily defended. Most of their military was spread across the colonies. 15 fleets were more ships than humans had in their entire navy. But Dae-hyun smiled. Perfect, he said. They are doing exactly what we expected. They are coming to Earth because they think it is our weak point. He opened a communication channel to Luna Base, Earth's moon. Wake up the Titans. It is time. Deep in the gas giants of the solar system, massive structures began to wake up. Things that had been sleeping for 3,000 years opened their eyes. The aliens wanted to attack Earth. They had no idea what they were flying into. The Sol system had never seen so many ships. 15 combined fleets jumped into space near the outer planets. Over 150,000 warships from dozens of alien species, all here to destroy humanity's homeworld. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. The fleet commanders expected resistance. They expected human ships to meet them in battle. What they found was silence. Empty space. Nothing but planets and moons and the quiet darkness between them. Where are they? One commander asked. Hiding, another answered. They know they cannot win. They have probably evacuated already. Then the gas giants came alive. Jupiter split open. Not the planet itself, but something inside it. Massive doors, each one the size of Earth's moon, opened in the swirling clouds. From inside came a structure so large that it made the alien fleet look like insects. It was a perfect sphere, covered in metal that seemed to drink in light. Energy patterns danced across its surface like lightning. Saturn did the same. Then Uranus. Then Neptune. 4 massive structures emerged from the gas giants, each one radiating power that made the alien sensors scream in confusion. What are those things? Someone whispered. Dr. Taeyang Choi appeared on every alien screen. He was bouncing on his feet like a child on his birthday. The Titans, he announced happily. Oh, I am so glad you are here to see them. We have been building these for 3,000 years. Each one took centuries to construct. We hid them inside the gas giants where nobody would look. He pulled up a diagram. Each Titan is a reality manipulation platform. They do not just shoot weapons. They change the rules. Watch! The Titan near Jupiter activated. Space itself began to twist and fold. Suddenly, the entire Sol system was surrounded by a barrier. It was not a shield like the aliens knew. It was something else. A boundary where physics worked differently. Inside the barrier, everything was normal. Outside, trying to get in became impossible. The alien fleet was trapped. Ships tried to jump away. Their faster-than-light drives did not work. Ships tried to shoot their way out. Their weapons hit the barrier and simply disappeared. They were in a cage made of twisted reality, and the humans had the only key. Now then, Choi continued, let's talk about how this works. You see, we discovered something interesting about space-time 3,000 years ago. If you have enough power and the right mathematics, you can create a pocket dimension. You are still in our universe, but you are playing by our rules now. Neat, right? A Calthian battle group decided they would at least take Mars before they were defeated. 50,000 ships broke away from the main fleet and headed for the Red Planet. They thought one planet would be easy to capture. They were wrong. The Martian Defense Corps had been waiting. Humans had been living on Mars for thousands of years. They had grown up in lower gravity. They had evolved to fight in 3 dimensions in ways that the aliens could not understand. Their bodies were different now, adapted to space combat. Their minds thought in trajectories that others could not imagine. Minho Song and his Ghost Squadron launched from Phobos, one of Mars's moons. They used the moon's gravity to slingshot themselves at impossible speeds. Behind them, Deimos launched another squadron. The aliens were caught between 2 forces that moved like water, flowing around obstacles never where they were expected to be. Ghost leader to all units, Minho called out. Remember, we are not just fighting. We are teaching. Let's show them why you never attack a planet defended by people who were born in space. The battle was not a battle. It was a lesson. The Martian defenders created patterns in space, mathematical arrangements of ships and weapons that confused the alien sensors. They used Mars's thin atmosphere as a weapon, creating friction where there should be none. They fought with 3,000 years of accumulated knowledge against enemies who still thought in 2 dimensions. While the Sol system became a trap, Captain Hannah Park was somewhere else entirely. While the aliens had brought their fleets to Earth, they had left their own territories nearly undefended. They thought the war would be over quickly. They thought wrong. Hannah's strike force appeared in Calthian space, not at their military bases or their shipyards, at their supply depots, their communication hubs, their trade routes. She did not kill civilians. She did not destroy homes. But she systematically dismantled everything that made their war machine work. "This is Captain Park of the Terran Defense Fleet," she broadcast across Calthian space. "We are currently visiting your home. Notice that we are not bombarding your planets. We are not killing your families. We knock first. That is the difference between us. You attack homes. We attack infrastructure. You create terror. We create inconvenience. Please remember that when this war is over." Back in Sol, Supreme Commander Vrathnor watched his fleet being destroyed, not quickly but efficiently. The humans were taking their time. They were making a point. Every ship they destroyed cleanly. They gave crews time to evacuate. They made sure escape pods were not targeted. They were fighting a war while showing mercy, which somehow made them more terrifying. "Why?" Vrathnor demanded. "Why are they not killing everyone? Why are they being so careful?" One of his officers understood. "Because they want us to know they could. They want us to go home and tell everyone what happened. They are not fighting to destroy us. They are fighting to teach us." In desperation, Vrathnor gave an order he knew he would regret. "Deploy the planet killers. If we cannot have their worlds, nobody will." Planet killers were weapons banned by every civilized species. They could crack a planet's core and destroy all life. Using them was considered the ultimate war crime. But Vratnor's pride would not accept defeat. If he could not win, he would at least hurt humanity forever. The weapons were launched at Earth. 6 missiles, each one capable of ending a world. They moved at impossible speeds, too fast for normal defenses to stop. Admiral Dae-Hyun Kim had been waiting for this. He had known it would come. Pride always leads to desperation, and desperation leads to atrocities. He pressed a button. The planet killers vanished. Not destroyed, vanished. They simply ceased to exist in this dimension. Earth's defensive grid had intercepted them in a way that did not even register on alien sensors. The weapons were gone as if they had never been. Dae-Hyun appeared on every screen in the alien fleet. His face was sad, disappointed. "You tried to destroy our world, our home, the place where humanity was born. You did not try to defeat us. You tried to erase us." He shook his head. "We have been defending against planet killers for 2,000 years. We knew someone would eventually try to use them. We were ready." He pulled up a file. The screen showed weapons that made the planet killers look like toys. Star destroyers, reality bombs, weapons that could end entire solar systems. "We have these," Dae-Hyun said quietly. "We have had them for centuries, but we have never used them. Not once. Do you know why? Silence. Because having power and using power are different things. We could have ended you at any time. We chose not to. Can you say the same? You attacked us the moment you had an excuse. You tried to destroy our world the moment you started losing. That is the difference between us." In the council chambers, Counselor Thexan received a secret message from Ambassador Ji-Won Lee. She was offering peace talks, but the terms were harsh. Full reparations, restructuring of the Galactic Council, access to all the resources the Council had tried to take. And one more thing. Humans would become the guardians of galactic peace with the power to intervene if any species attempted genocide or conquest. "We do not want to rule you," Ji-Won's message said, "but we will never again allow ourselves to be ruled. Accept our terms or we will continue this war until you have nothing left. The choice is yours." Thexan looked at the terms. They were fair. Considering humanity could have demanded total surrender. They were asking for equality and safety, not domination. He started preparing a proposal for the council. But then Oracle Saimtha appeared before Admiral Kim with a warning. "There is a faction within the council," she said. "The collective of ancient races. They remember the first contact wars. They have been planning their revenge for 3,000 years. Just as you have been planning your defense. They will not accept peace. What are they planning? Daehyun asked. The oracle's energy form flickered with distress. Time travel. They are going to try to erase humanity from history. They are going to stop you from ever reaching the stars. Daehyun was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had planned for every possible move. Of course they are. Tell Dr. Choi to activate the temporal defense grid. It is time to show them that we have been fighting this war across time itself. Dr. Taeyang Choi walked through a facility that should not exist. The corridors were clean and white, but the walls showed strange patterns. Symbols that seemed to change when you looked away. Doorways that led to rooms that were bigger inside than they should be. This was not a normal research station. This was a place where time itself was just another tool. How long until they attempt their temporal incursion? Choi asked one of his scientists. The scientist checked a device that displayed time in ways that hurt to look at. They already have, sir. 3 times. We stopped them all before they even started, Choi laughed. I love temporal mechanics. The cause comes after the effect. The solution exists before the problem. It is beautiful. The collective of ancient races had their own facility. It was hidden in a pocket dimension, protected by the best technology they could build. Inside, their scientists worked on the weapon that would end humanity forever. They would send strike teams back in time to prevent humans from developing space. Travel. Simple. Effective. Impossible. To defend against, except humans had developed. Time travel 2,000 years ago, when the collective activated their temporal weapon, they found that it did not work. The machine functioned perfectly. The calculations were correct. But when they tried to open a portal to Earth's past, nothing happened. It was as if the past was locked, protected, impossible to reach. Then Dr. Choi appeared on their screens. He was sitting in a comfortable chair, drinking tea. Hello, he said cheerfully. I see you are trying to use temporal weapons. That is very clever. We did the same thing about 2,000 years ago. Would you like to know what we learned? He did not wait for an answer. Time travel is tricky. You cannot just change the past. The universe protects itself. But you can defend the past. You can put guards in place, sentries. We have been defending our timeline for centuries. Every important moment in human history has protectors from our future watching over it. You cannot reach our past because we are already there stopping you. The screen changed. It showed images that made no sense at first. Then the collective realized what they were seeing. Humans from the future standing at key moments in history. A soldier in ancient armor who carried weapons from the stars. A scientist in an old laboratory who had knowledge that should not exist yet. Protectors scattered across time, making sure history happened the way it was supposed to. You see, Choi continued, we learned something important. The future is not set. It can be changed. But the past is fixed by observation. We observed our own past from the future, which made it real. You cannot change what has already been confirmed. Captain Hannah Park received new orders. She was to take a team into the collective's temporal facility and retrieve their technology, not destroy it, steal it. The mission was planned in a way that made her head hurt. The plan had been written years ago, based on information they would gather during the mission. Cause and effect were tangled together like a knot. I hate temporal missions, she muttered to her crew. Everything has already happened, but we still have to make it happen. Her pilot grinned. At least we know we succeed. The plan exists, so we must have retrieved the information to write it. That does not make it easier, Hannah said. But she smiled. Time travel made everything complicated, but it also made victory certain. They had already won. They just needed to do the work to make it true. The silent dawn phased into the pocket dimension where the collective kept their facility. The guards were ready. They had been warned that humans might attack. But they were not ready for what actually happened. The human team moved through their defenses like ghosts. They knew where every guard would be. They knew which systems would fail and when. They knew everything because they had already done this mission in a future that was now the past. Hannah reached the central chamber. The temporal device was massive, beautiful, and completely unguarded. Next to it was a note she had written and left here 3 years ago, after completing this mission. The note told her exactly what to take and what to leave behind. She followed her own instructions and left a new note for the collective. Thanks for the technology. We will make better use of it than you did. Also, you might want to check your power core. It is going to fail in about 10 minutes. You should evacuate. We are not monsters. By the time the collective realized what happened, the humans were gone. The facility was intact but empty. Its secrets had been stolen by people who had known they would succeed before they even started. The collective tried one final, desperate move. They sent warriors back in time to attack key moments in human history. If they could not stop humans from reaching the stars, they would at least cause damage. Make them weaker. Change small things that would add up to big changes. Lieutenant Minho Song found himself pulled from his mech and thrust into a temporal defense mission. He appeared in Earth's past, in a time of ancient wars and simple weapons. An alien strike team was there, trying to sabotage human development. They were well armed with advanced weapons hidden to look primitive. Minho was not alone. Other versions of himself were there. Soldiers from other timelines all working together to protect this moment in history. It was weird seeing himself from different angles. One version of him had a scar he did not have. Another version seemed older. But they all moved the same way, thought the same way, fought the same way. This is strange, one Minho said to another Minho. Tell me about it, the other Minho replied. But hey, at least we know we are good backup for ourselves. They drove off the alien strike team. History remained intact. When the mission was complete, the different versions of Minho said goodbye to each other and returned to their own times. Temporal warfare was confusing, but humans had gotten very good at it. Ambassador Jiwan Lee stood before what remained of the Galactic Council. She had information now. Information stolen from the collective's facility. Information about the true history of the galaxy. She shared it with everyone. The Treaty of Forced Peace was signed 3,000 years ago, she said. You believe you forced us to sign it. You believe you conquered us and made us peaceful. That is not what happened. She showed them records. Real records hidden in temporal storage. We agreed to the treaty. We wanted it, not because we were defeated, but because we needed time. 3,000 years ago we were powerful but chaotic. We were dangerous to ourselves and others. So we made a deal. We would become peaceful and you would leave us alone. We would use that time to grow, to learn, to become better. The council members looked at each other in shock. You tricked us? One asked. No, Jiwan said. We let you believe what you wanted to believe. You thought peace meant weakness. You thought we were defeated. We let you think that because it served our purposes. For 3,000 years you left us alone. For 3,000 years we prepared. Not for conquest, not for revenge, but for the day when someone would challenge us again. And when that day came, we would be ready. The leaders of the collective were brought before Admiral Da-Hyun Kim. They expected threats. They expected demands. Instead, Kim showed them something else. He showed them the future. Multiple futures. Timelines branching in every direction. We have mapped every possible future, he explained. In every timeline where humanity survives, we thrive. We grow, we spread. We become stronger. In many of those timelines, your species does not exist anymore. Not because we destroyed you, but because you destroyed yourselves. Your pride, your arrogance, your refusal to change, he leaned forward. We do not need to erase you from history. You are already erasing yourselves. We are giving you a chance to stop. Join the new order. Learn from your mistakes. Grow or refuse and fade into nothing. The choice is yours, but choose quickly. We have seen how this ends and we are trying to help you. Oracle Zimtha watched everything from her place outside time. She had existed for millions of years. She had seen countless species rise and fall, but she had never seen anything like humanity. They did not just fight wars. They fought the concept of war itself. They did not just survive. They turned survival into an art form. She appeared before Dr. Choi. I must ask you something, she said. How did you really develop time travel? It should take millions of years of advancement. You did it in a few thousand, Choi smiled. We cheated. We sent information back to ourselves from the future. Once you have time travel, you have always had time travel. The invention creates itself. We just had to be smart enough to recognize the gift when it arrived. The Oracle laughed. It was a sound like stars being born. Of course. Humans do not play by the rules. They rewrite them. The temporal war ended not with a bang but with a whisper. The collective surrendered. Most of them anyway. A few chose exile rather than joining the new galactic order. They left in ships headed for distant galaxies, where they could not threaten anyone. Humanity let them go. As the last collective ship jumped away, Choi received a strange message. It came from a temporal anomaly from far in the future. The message was simple. Thanks for buying us enough time. We have got it from here. It was signed by humans 10,000 years in the future. The war was over. The galaxy would never be the same. And humanity was only getting started. 6 months had passed since the war began. The galaxy looked different now. The old Galactic Council was gone. In its place stood something new, something better. The species that had once ruled with arrogance now sat at tables with species they had ignored for millennia. Everyone had an equal voice. Everyone could vote. Everyone mattered. Ambassador Ji-Wan Lee stood at the podium in the new council chambers. Around her sat representatives from over 1,000 species. Some were old council members who had accepted change. Others were new voices, species that had been oppressed or forgotten. All of them were watching her. "We did not fight this war to rule you," she said. Her voice was clear and strong. "We fought to prove that you could not rule us. There is a difference. We want a galaxy where every species can choose its own path, where strength protects the weak instead of exploiting them, where wisdom matters more than weapons." A Calthian representative stood. It was not Vrathnor. He had been removed from power by his own people, ashamed by his failures. This new representative spoke carefully. What if someone breaks these rules? What if a species tries to conquer others? Ji-Wan's expression became cold. Then humanity will respond. "We will not rule you, but we will protect this new order. Any species that attempts genocide or conquest will face us. And you have all seen what that means." The chamber was silent. Everyone remembered. Everyone had seen what humans could do when provoked. The threat was real and it worked. Not because humans were cruel, but because they had proven they were capable. Fear and respect had become the same thing. Dr. Taeyang Choi had stopped building weapons. Now he built other things. Medical technology that could cure diseases thought to be incurable. Agricultural systems that could feed billions. Energy generators that were clean and endless. He shared all of it freely with any species that asked. A delegation of scientists from a small species called the Prin came to his laboratory. They had been struggling with a plague that threatened to wipe out their people. They had nowhere else to turn. Choi listened to their problem for exactly 5 minutes. Then he smiled. "Oh, that is easy. We solved similar plagues 800 years ago. Here, let me show you." Within a week, the Prin had a cure. Within a month, their people were saved. They asked what humanity wanted in return. "Nothing," Choi said. "Well, maybe teach us about your culture. We humans love learning new things. That is payment enough." Stories like this spread across the galaxy. Humans were powerful, yes, but they were also generous. They helped species who had nothing to offer in return. They shared knowledge freely. A galaxy that had expected conquerors found teachers instead. Lieutenant Minho Song sat in a small cafe on Mars. Across from him sat 3 Calthian pilots. They had tried to kill him during the war. He had destroyed their ships, though he had made sure they could escape first. Now they were sharing drinks and telling stories. "How did you move like that?" one pilot asked. "Your mech should not have been able to dodge at those angles." Minho grinned. "Practice. Lots and lots of practice. And we cheat. Our mechs have AIs that predict your moves before you make them. Plus, we train in virtual reality from the time we are kids. By the time we actually fight, we have done it 10,000 times before." The Calthian pilots laughed. It was strange laughing with former enemies. But it felt right. "Your people are very good at war," one said. "Yes," Minho agreed. "But we are better at peace. War is just something we do when we must. Peace is what we actually enjoy." He raised his glass. "To peace. May it last longer than the last one." They all drank to that. Captain Hana Park had one final mission. The remnants of the collective who had refused to surrender were hiding in a distant system. They were planning something, though intelligence was not clear what. Hana was sent to deal with them. When she arrived, she found them preparing ships for an attack. But their target was not humanity. It was themselves. They were planning to destroy their own worlds rather than live in a galaxy where they were not supreme. Pride had turned to madness. Hana did not attack. She sent them a message. "You have a choice. Join the new order and live. Continue your plan and be exiled. Or choose a third option. Destroy yourselves. But know that if you do, we will remember you not as proud warriors but as cowards who could not accept change." The collective leaders argued among themselves. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to die, but one old leader stood up. She had been alive during the first contact wars 3,000 years ago. She remembered humanity before the treaty. She remembered what they had been like when they were truly angry. "Enough," she said. "We have already lost. Continuing to fight is not pride. It is stupidity. Humans have shown us mercy. They could have erased us. They chose not to. We will accept their terms. Some chose to stay. Some chose exile. But none chose destruction." Hannah watched them leave and felt something strange. Not victory. Not satisfaction. Relief. The war was truly over now. Admiral Dae-hyun Kim retired. He had earned it. He had done what his family had prepared for across 3,000 years. Now he could rest. He bought a small house on Earth near the ocean. He planted a garden. He watched sunsets. He read books. For the first time in his life, he did not have to prepare for war. Before leaving his post, he gave one final speech to the Terran Defense Fleet. Thousands of officers and soldiers watched him. He spoke simply. "We won not because we had better weapons. We won because we had better values. Never forget that. Power without purpose is meaningless. We fought to protect our freedom. Now we must help others find theirs. That is our mission now. Not conquest. Not domination. Protection and education. Be worthy of the peace we have earned." Humanity spread across the galaxy differently than the old powers had. They did not conquer. They integrated. They married aliens. They adopted alien customs. They learned alien languages. They became part of each culture they touched while remaining distinctly human. They were the bridge species, connecting civilizations through understanding rather than force. Counselor Thexon wrote a book about the war. It became required reading in schools across the galaxy. The final chapter was titled The Lesson. It said simply, "Never mistake restraint for weakness. Never assume that peace means powerlessness. Never underestimate a species that thinks in centuries. And most importantly, never give people 3,000 years to prepare for you." One evening, Oracle Zimtha and Ambassador Ji-Wan Lee stood on Earth, watching the sun set over the Pacific Ocean. The war felt like ancient history already, though it had been less than a year. "What will your people do now?" the Oracle asked. "You have all this power, all this technology. Will you expand? Conquer?" Ji-Wan smiled. "We already are expanding. Not through conquest, but through friendship. In 1,000 years, new species will join the galactic community. They will not remember the council that tried to control us. They will remember the species that welcomed them, taught them, and stood beside them. That is the only empire worth building." The Oracle was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something she had not done in millennia. She laughed. It was a sound like music, like joy itself made audible. "You know what the most terrifying thing about your species is?" "What?" Ji-Wan asked. "You actually mean that? You really believe it? After everything you have suffered, after being forced into peace for 3,000 years, after being attacked and underestimated, you still choose kindness. You still choose to help. That is not weakness. That is strength beyond measure." Ji-Wan's smile widened. "We know." They watched the sunset together. Above them, ships patrolled peacefully, the silent dawn and thousands like it, keeping watch over a galaxy that was learning to live differently. On Mars, Minho trained new pilots, alien and human, side by side. In laboratories across human space, Dr. Choi and his teams developed technology for exploration, not destruction. On distant worlds, human explorers made first contact with new species, greeting them with open hands and curious minds. The 3,000-year peace had ended. It had ended with laughter and victory. But that was not the important part. The important part was what came next. A new peace. A better one. Built not on force but on mutual respect. Not on fear but on hope. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity was just getting started. Years later, someone would receive a message from 10,000 years in the future. A message thanking the people of this time for buying them enough space to build something wonderful. A message that said the future was bright because of choices made today. But that was a story for another time. For now, as the sun set on Earth and rose on 1,000 other worlds, humanity did what they did best. They kept moving forward. They kept learning. They kept helping. And they kept laughing at those who thought peace made them weak. Because they had learned the most important lesson of all. Being kind is not the same as being harmless. Being peaceful is not the same as being powerless. And the greatest warriors are the ones who never need to fight. The end.